Hey guys, welcome back to the Couch Confessionals, where we go behind the blog to get to know the blogger. And we have boarded the couch once again, and we are in Grand Central Station with the neurotic urban millennial, Patrick Maroney. Thanks, dude, for coming all this way from Philly.
Thanks for having me. My first time in Grand Central.
Awesome. It's a historic building. Make sure you take it all in after we're done with this. Okay, so you're one of what, 3 millennials, I believe, on the fields. So many people, especially my generation and above, have such issues with millennials. So why do you think they get such a bad rap?
So I think what happened was, back in the 80s when your generation, Generation X, they were known as the latchkey kids, Home Alone. And then once you guys started having kids and some of the later baby boomers, they kind of took that pendulum and swung it back and, started coddling the kids that became the millennials, my generation. That's when participation trophies came in, helicopter parenting.
Yep.
So I think, it swung a little too far at first. And you had some that were like, this is amazing, and just leaned into being coddled. There's now snowplow parenting, which is they'll just plow through any obstacle.
For their kids?
For their kids, yeah, it's crazy. But
they're doomed.
Yeah, so some leaned in and were basically helpless, wounded birds that would die if their parents left them. And then there's others who they kind of were okay. Because we also grew up in the 90s, where, the economy was booming and, we were told that we could do whatever we wanted. So I think some of us saw it also as, okay, we have a safe space, so we use it as a launching pad to be ambitious and say, okay, we're going to try to do these things because we're told we can do it.
Right.
I mean, some of us, fell flat on our face like Wile E. Coyote, but, I think that's kind of, it's two things. So some people saw us as kind of stepping out of our lane and trying to be too ambitious. And then others saw the lazy ones. And it's kind of like the squeaky wheels, I mean, that's where stereotypes come from.
Yeah.
So
let's debunk some of the stereotypes.
Okay, let's
or
do
not,
it.
Or agree with them.
I mean, stereotypes come from somewhere,
yeah.
So.
Okay, so millennials are lazy, true or false?
I would say it's partly true, because I think some of it is that millennials, especially older millennials, we were the ones that, because I graduated in 2000, we were the ones that were okay, we're going to change things. So I think we were more the go-getters.
Right.
But then I think at the same time there's some burnout going on. So we're, I know me, if I don't have something going on, I'm vegging.
Right.
So I think there is a laziness factor, but I think overall, millennials are not any more lazy than, I mean, Generation X was known for being slackers.
Well,
so
exactly.
Yes.
We had chips on our shoulders.
Yeah.
Our parents were disappointed in us.
And now everyone's Generation X is amazing.
We're now your bosses.
Exactly. I mean, if Winona Ryder can come back from shoplifting,
anyone could make
exactly.
Okay, millennials are commitment phobic.
I don't think we're commitment phobic. I think we're more pan commitment.
Okay.
Yeah. We are more willing to, in terms of relationships,
yeah.
I think they're more open relationships. I know more of my friends are doing that, or not getting married, because I mean, some are they don't see the point, especially because when we were growing up, half of everyone in the world was getting divorced.
Yes.
So a lot of them were jaded from that. And so I think there's some deep-rooted Dr. Ruth stuff going on there.
Right.
So I don't know that it's just commitment phobic. I think they're trying to find what works for them in relationships. Okay. So whether it's an open relationship, whether it's cohabitation, quad relationships with 17 people. Yes. I don't judge.
What about the entitlements? Because you guys get this a lot, and you kind of spoke to it a little bit in your intro, but...
Yeah, so I think some of it is misplaced because with the entitlement, it's we know what we want is some of it. The other thing is, like, from the time when the baby boomers who are still running things, when they were around, there were pensions, people stayed at jobs.
Social Security.
Yeah, all the stuff that we will never have. So I think with us, it's, it's a work-life balance. So it's like, when you hear that they want, like, emotional support puppies at work and, stuff like that, and flexibility, it's because we don't have those fringe benefits.
Right.
So part of it, I think, is, a reaction from, back in my day, we didn't have puppies in the office. So it's like, we're like, but you have a retirement plan that we don't have. So we need a puppy to comfort us. Like, is that too much to ask? I mean...
Well, thank you for schooling us on. Okay, so I ask every blogger this. Finish this sentence. If you knew me, you would know
that I know nothing. Everything that I've just said, like, take it with a huge grain of salt. I found out in this trip I was telling you, I thought the Empire State Building was like 5 blocks south of where it was and looked different. I worked here for a year. Like, I used to come all the time and I can't. Yeah, so I talk a good game, but I know nothing.
Most people don't know half of what they're talking about, so you're good.
Yeah.
Okay, so next month is Mental Health Awareness Month. You, Peter, myself, and a few other bloggers have been open and really passionate about abolishing the stigma of mental health. But what I notice is your generation is so much more transparent and not ashamed about speaking about it. I just had another guy your age come to me and speak to me about his anxiety, which, back in the day, especially with men, even though they suffered internally, they didn't outwardly come out in terms of, how they were feeling or if they were on medication or whatever it may be. Why do you think your generation is so open and
Well, I blame Holly Hunter and her movie Living Out Loud that I'm pretty sure no one in my generation saw, but it's got Queen Latifah. But I think a lot of it is actually social media too, because I think it's people feel that they don't need to suffer in silence.
Yeah.
Especially with social media, some people who share every time they take a poop, like, so it gets balanced with that, and then, like, they see that there's other people who have what they are experiencing, and so they're like, oh, okay, let's talk about this.
Right.
And especially with, I think, things are going on just societally.
Yes.
That, it's like we need, especially I think with my generation, we need to figure out why this is happening, like depression, postpartum,
right.
All their public health issues, and if we don't talk about it, we can't do anything, so if it's something where even if you just have like a panic attack like once a decade or something, it's still, you have a community, you can find resources.
Yes.
And I think social media has helped it, and I think it's just trying to stop society from crashing and burning.
Right.
So.
I just thank you so much for kind of opening up that part of you, because I think so many people were like, yeah, me too.
And I mean, it is, before I wrote about it, like, I really hadn't talked about it, because with a lot of it, there is still stigmas.
Yeah.
I mean, even like postpartum, which is something that so many women have. I mean, I haven't had it, but it's something that's so common, but people don't talk about.
Yeah.
Or
same thing with infertility. It's like, we need to start having these conversations. Yeah.
And I wrote about that because, I mean, obviously it's much different for women that are having fertility issues, but it's like, it's just issues that people don't talk about that should be out there more.
Yeah.
And, if it's kind of like you always heard, like, if I help one person, and I think that's kind of what you're seeing more is people are like, I can help, or I can let people know that they're not alone.
Yes.
you know, so
Absolutely.
I think that's kind of, it's, because I mean, we're all more connected with social media, it's the worst, but.
It's the worst and the best thing that
It
ever
is.
happened.
It is. I mean, I'm on it, I work in social media, but
Yeah.
it's also, sometimes it's exhausting.
Yeah, it is. So, if you had to name this specific chapter of your life, what would it be called?
So I was thinking about this, and actually I started thinking about this before I knew that this was going to be a question. Because I remember back when I turned into my 30s, when I turned 30,
Yeah.
you tried convincing me that 30s were so much better than my 20s, and I think now you're saying the 40s are better.
Yeah, the 40s and the 50s will be better.
Exactly. But I was thinking about, I'm like, my 20s, I think I liked more than my 30s. So, like, I feel more lost now than I did then. And I think it's because I didn't, like, you don't know things when you're 20, so you're just like, whatever, let's do shots.
Yeah.
You know, so now I'm like, let's not do a shot because I have to adult tomorrow. So I would say this chapter's like trying and failing to be an adult.
Yeah.
Like maybe, because it's like, because I feel like it's that weird, you know, like, especially now, like, you know, from like, you know, millennials are pushing everything back because, you know, we po. And, like, this is going to be so long and everyone's going to hate me. But it's like, you know, we're putting off getting married into our 30s. You know, like my parents, when they had me and my siblings, they started at like 25.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think 30s now are transitional years where I think that used to be more the 20s. So I feel like now 20s are, you know, let's get our crap together and try to figure out what life is. And then 30s, you know, some people are settling down. Some just really want avocado toast and brunch, bottomless mimosas maybe. You know, and so I think 40, maybe that's when.
You know what? I think because of what is going on today in the world around us, we're all still exploring to find our purpose.
Yeah.
I don't think that goes away with age. I think you become much more secure in who you are. That's the difference, you know, in knowing who you are.
Knock on wood. Because, I mean, I've got 5 years to figure that out then.
Okay, so what advice would you give to your 16-year-old self?
So here's the problem with that question. You guys knew that was coming, right? I don't answer any. I am the worst interviewee because I'm an interviewer. If I told my 16-year-old self, then it's kind of like going back in time and like killing someone and then like butterfly effect. So if I tell my 16-year-old self something, would that stop me from doing something? And experiencing the lesson or... Yeah, like, so I don't, like, it's not like I ever killed anyone. Like, I've never gone to jail, you know, or like anything like that. So it's like if I did that, I'd be like, yeah, don't kill that man, you know, but there's nothing like... There's no advice you would give him that could prepare him for where he is now? I mean, I used to think I was a really good friend. I've learned I don't know that I am. Why? Because I don't know. I feel like I get myself into a lot of trouble. I try to be a good friend, but then I feel like there's too much going on. So maybe I would be like, you know, don't learn how to, and like sometimes I'll take things more personal. So maybe I'll be like, if I developed that at a younger age of like compartmentalizing, you know, and, you know, not trying to find, you know, trying to get acceptance from I mean, I don't seek acceptance from others, but like, I think everyone kind of cares. Yeah. So I think like, and I mean, it might be a cop-out to be like, tell yourself not to care about others, you know, like. Just develop a thicker skin, maybe. Yeah. I think that for the like Real Housewives type drama, like I think that would have alleviated a lot of that. Yeah. But you learned a lot in that process. I did. I flipped so many tables. I mean, give me a weave, put me on New Jersey. be the best house husband. Oh my god, that should be a spin-off. The House Husbands. Cabana
Okay.
Boys.
You heard it.
Andy, call me.
Okay, so last question. What is it that sets your soul on fire?
So, I mean, there's creams for that. Just FYI, anyone out there. I think for me, I like, even though I don't think I'm that good of a friend, I like to see, like, when like something I'm working on, or like if I'm able to help someone and I see progress.
Yeah.
I think that's because I feel like I don't have emotions half the time. like everyone's always like, "Oh, that's amazing! I feel all this stuff." I'm like, I'm dead inside. and so, but I it. It
You
does,
like seeing people succeed.
I do.
You like in which you're helping them to succeed.
Yeah, and because you and Denise at Team People, they like, it was ingrained really early to like help people, and you know, if you can, you know, give someone a boost up, you know. So I mean, sometimes it's probably been to my detriment, you know, helping people out, or you know, not asking for like a paycheck for certain things if I'm just offering, you know, guidance. But I really, it warms my cockles, which I don't think that's dirty, even though it sounds dirty. I feel like that's like an old-timey word. I don't.
You like to pay it forward, my friend.
I do. I like to, and I like to see other people, you know, succeed with, 'cause, I mean, I feel like I'm making it about me, but like I like to see them succeed with my help, or like to see what because here's the thing, I think this is also something big, and I have the most rambling answers, I'm sorry. I feel like, you know, everyone wants to have a legacy.
Right.
You know, like you don't want to die and then everyone be like, okay, who was that?
Right.
And I feel like the more you pay it forward, like the more people that might like for a week or so remember you.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, people might come to your funeral. So I that's kind of like, because I'm not gonna have kids, you know, I won't, you know, and a dog can't really relay my legacy. So
you think.
I mean, maybe future dogs, the robot dogs that they're developing. So, like, so it's kind of, my legacy, I guess, would have to speak for itself, and like, you know, I don't want people to be like, oh, that guy was a douche, you know, and then just be like, good, he's dead. Be like, oh yeah, he helped people, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they can say both as long as they do say both, but I mean, yeah. So that's kind of, it makes me warm and tingly inside.
Okay. I think you've made everyone warm and tingly today.
Remember, there's cream for that.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining us on the Daily Feels. Until next month. Bye.